A woman was driving away with her car, but at that moment a man arrives saying he was going to clean the woman's car. She said she didn't need to clean her car because it would rain soon and she wouldn't pay for it. He insists and ends up cleaning her car, and when he's done, he asks for money, but she said she hadn't asked for it. He tells her that she should pay and tells her the amount, but she says that the amount was too high and she would not pay. He says that was his job, that he couldn't do anything about it, because that was the amount he charged his clients. The woman then asks why he charges such a large amount for his work. The man says that he didn't know why, but that her husband was unfaithful. The woman is surprised by this and says that the man was being very rude to her because he didn't know her husband and yet he was saying that about him. The man says that he actually knew the woman's husband well, because every day he passed by that street. He begins to describe the woman's husband and says that although he was very attractive, he was not a good person. She says that since the man knew her husband well, she should have known his name. The man then says the name of the woman's husband and she is very surprised by that. She said it was a lie, but the man insists and tells her that she should call her husband to find out whether or not he was telling the truth. She then grabbed her phone and called her husband, but he ended up not answering the phone. She said her husband might be busy, but the man says he knew well what her husband was doing. At that point, the woman says that her husband was calling her and she answers the call. She then asks the man where he was and if he could make a video call with her so she could see where he really was. He says it was at his job that he didn't understand what she was asking. She said that since he was at his job, it would be okay for him to video call her, but he said he was in a meeting and that he couldn't do what she asked. She asked him why he was saying those things, as she was just asking him to make a simple video call with her. He says he understood her motives, but he couldn't do that. At this point, another woman arrives and asks who the other man was talking to. The woman is furious at this and asks her husband who he was talking to. The woman's husband says that he could no longer speak to her at that time because the other people had arrived and he needed to go back to his meeting. She is furious about it and then the man tells her to pay what she owes him, but she said she would pay him much more than he had asked for. She said that he would go with her to where her husband was, for he knew where her husband was. He said he knew where the woman's husband was and said he was at the home of a woman he had met. The woman asks him if he knew how to get to this other woman's house and he said yes. He asks her if she had the money to pay for him and she says she would give him a lot of money if he went along with her. Meanwhile, the other woman was telling the other man that she was ashamed of what had happened. The man says his wife had asked him to make a video call to see where he was. He then asks what they were going to do for. Now it was that the man's wife had heard her voice, but the man told her that she didn't need to worry about it, because when he got home, he would talk to his wife and convince her that nothing had happened. He says they should go back to what they were doing and then the other woman agrees. Later, they were together and the other woman was telling another man that she was so glad he was there. But at that moment the woman arrives and this makes the other woman very surprised. She asks who these people were and the other man says he knew them. He says it wasn't actually anyone he knew and tells them to leave. He says that this was his wife and that he didn't know another man, but that he must be some friend of his wife's. The woman then asks the man why he is cheating on her. He asks her what she was doing there, since she didn't know where he might be, and she says that the man had taken her there. The whole man says that now he had remembered the man and says that he worked cleaning cars. He asks the man why he was doing this and tells him to mind his own business, but the man says he was just doing what was right. The other man tells him that he should mind his own business and that he was just trying to get back at him for not letting him wash his car. He then said he was very furious about it and went at the man. At that moment, the woman says that she was not feeling well and ends up fainting. The man says he would take him to the hospital, but the other man says he can't be around his wife because he didn't like it. The man says he would leave and then the other woman closes the door, but the other man is furious about it, saying he didn't want his wife to leave. The other woman says that the other man's wife would be fine and that she just needed to get some rest. Later, the woman was telling the man that she was sorry for making him let her stay at his house. She said she was very embarrassed by what had happened. The man told her she didn't need to worry about it because he just wanted to do the right thing and tell her what was going on. She then said that I didn't understand why her husband had done that to her, because she had always treated him very well and loved him very much. She says she was very grateful for the man's help and that without his help, she would never find out what was really going on. The man says she didn't need to thank him and that she just tried to do the right thing. She says she doesn't understand why her husband did that to her, because she always let him do whatever he wanted. The man said that maybe that was the reason and that she shouldn't have done that, but the woman says that she didn't understand the reason for that and that she always did everything for her husband. She says that she always tried to do everything for her husband and that she ended up giving up her own dreams to help him with his career, but that now she didn't know what she could do. She said that she had sold everything she had so she could pay for her husband's college and that now she would have to work much harder to be able to win back what she had lost. The man says that the truth was that he had also studied hard and that he had worked hard to be able to get to where he had arrived. He then tells her that she would have to think long and hard about it, as she would have to be sure about what she was going to do from that moment on. He then says that this was a great opportunity for the woman to win back what she had lost. He tells her that she should focus on her studies and that she could conquer everything she had lost, but that she only needed to focus only on herself. The woman said that she understood what he was saying, but that it was easier for him, as he could achieve much more than she could because he was a man. She says that because she is a woman, things were much harder for her, but the man says she wasn't thinking straight. He says that women today were very strong and independent and that they got the things they wanted. The woman says that now she had made up her mind and that she would be able to win back everything she had lost. The man then tells her that if she wanted to, she could work together with him. He tells her that she could stay by his side for a few days and that he would teach her everything he knew. She gets very excited about it and so she said she would accept the man's proposal. She says that when he went to work, she could take care of his house, but he said that it would not be necessary because he would want her to focus on her work, so that she could earn her own money and thus win back her life. She accepts the man's invitation, then says that she was excited to be able to start working with him. He said that she could start work the next day and that he hoped to be able to help her and said that he would have to pack some things to start work, but first he says that they should come into his house to have a drink together. Some time goes by and the other woman was telling another man that she was very excited to be together with him. The other man was then wondering how his wife managed to figure out what he was doing, since he had never said anything to her. He then says that if he had cheated on his wife, it was her fault and that she had deserved it. He says that he had done nothing wrong and that he knew his wife would never find out what he had done. The other woman says that his wife must be cheating on him with the man because they left together and that she didn't trust him. She then asks him why he was offended by it and he says that he was sure his wife would never cheat on him. She asks him why he was saying that, since he had cheated on his wife before her, but he says that since he was a man, he had different needs and that he didn't see a problem between him and his wife. The other woman says she didn't understand what he was talking about, since he was also a traitor. She said she didn't want to talk about it anymore and asked them to move on to another subject. She asks if they could go out together to rest. He says yes and that they really needed to get some rest. Sometime later, the woman was telling the man that she was very grateful for his help. He said he was very happy that she was there. He said that she had a lot of potential to get a lot of clients and thus make a lot of money. She thanks him for everything he had done for her and told him that without him, she would never be able to regain what she had lost. He then thanks her for the time they spent together, as she had made him feel so much better. He said that he was sure that now she would never again depend on someone else to conquer her own things, as he was always taught that the harder he worked to conquer his things, the further he would go. She said she was sure this was true and then he tells them to get to work. Later, the other woman tells the other man that she had a big surprise for him and shows him that the woman was cleaning a car, and he gets furious about it and said that he wanted to know what was going on, and then goes to the woman. He asked her what was going on there, and she was very frightened by it. He said he wanted to know what was going on. She said she was working and that she was now an entrepreneur. The other man says that he didn't believe what he was seeing and that she should leave along with him as she didn't look like who she used to be anymore, but she says that now she wouldn't obey anyone else. She says that she would only obey her and that she would not go along with him. She said she would never go back to the other man because she would no longer tolerate being treated that way. He then tells her that he thought she liked to stay in his house cleaning and taking care of the house, but she says that she didn't like it and that she would never be together with him again. She says that while she was taking care of the house and him, her husband was cheating on her. She then reveals that a person had come into her life and that now she was no longer going to let someone else boss her around. He then asks who this person was who had said those things to her. He says that he thought it was the man who had said that and that he was a horrible person, but the woman says he couldn't talk about him like that. He then tells the woman that he had made a mistake in the way he had treated her and that this would no longer happen. He asks her to get back together with him, but the other woman says that wouldn't happen. He tells the woman that he was now a different person and that she could do whatever she wanted, but the other woman says that he still thought he was the strongest man in the world and that he could have as many women as he wanted. She says that wasn't true and that she wouldn't let the woman suffer anymore because of a man like him. She says that things happened in a very different way and that she regretted a lot of what she had done. She then apologizes to the woman, saying that she was not to blame, as the man ended up convincing her of it. She says that she was now finally able to understand that this man was not a good person and that she regretted having done what she did. She tells the woman that she didn't try to do it in order to harm her, but that she just wanted to be happy. The other man then says that if the woman didn't go with him, he would do something she wouldn't want to happen. She wonders what he was going to do, and then another man takes her car and ends up running over the man. Sometime later, the woman was wondering why good people ended up leaving too soon and bad people stayed there. She then tells the man that she wanted him to know that she thanked him very much for everything he had done for her. She said she was very grateful for everything he had taught her and that now she could finally live in peace.